So, not too many people nowadays pay attention to the area of psychology and how your brain works and that kind of thing. I think people, maybe it's just in the West, but people kind of just assume that psychology is reserved for psychiatrists and therapists and the people who study the brain, that kind of thing. And, everybody else just doesn't really pay attention to it because it sounds like this big thing. But I think a very basic understanding of psychology is really important for the human lifestyle. I think having a basic understanding of your brain improves your life drastically and gives you the ability to have more control over your life. And in this video, in this public speaking video, which is the Persuasive speech, I believe, I'm going to give roughly three examples of why I think having a basic understanding of psychology is important and why it can benefit you. I can't give real sciencey stuff or statistics because I think the mind, not the brain, but the mind, is a very abstract thing, and I don't think it can be objectively studied with other organs of your body. I don't think the mind is an organ, but that's another story. So my first analogy has to do with the concept called, where am I turning? I'm not even paying attention to my driving. That's probably a bad thing. But awareness precedes control. Yeah, that's where I'm going. So let's say there's a program. Let's say there's a program and there's a bug on the program, and there's two people who are interacting with the program wanting to fix the bug. The first person has no clue about the coding of the software. He has no clue how the software was built. He doesn't have any idea of JavaScript or Python or any of those codes. I'm not trying to get nerdy, but no, he doesn't have any concept of coding. But the second guy wanting to fix the bug, he is a coder. He actually, he understands the code completely. He studied it, at least has a very basic understanding of the coding. Which one of those two people do you think are going to be more likely to be able to fix the bug? The second person, who understands the coding of the software better, why the software does what it does. Likewise, same with the brain. If there's, an ambulance, that's not a good sign at all. But having a very basic understanding of the brain gives you the ability to fix bugs, per se. If there's something wrong with your life, if you're why am I thinking like this? Why do I feel like this? I don't want it to be this way. If you had an understanding of why you think that way, if you had an understanding of the code, you may be able to fix it. So that gets out my first analogy. My second analogy, my second analogy also has to do with awareness precedes control, meaning that when you're aware of something, you're able to be in greater control over it, right? So if you've had, let me think this through for a second. If you've had a tooth removed, right, at the dentist's, then they numb your mouth. And whenever they numb your mouth, you notice you're not able to have control over your mouth, right? You can't control it because you're not aware of it. You might bite your lip and it'll bleed or something, but you're not really able to control it well because you're not aware of it. But what happens over time, as you build more awareness of your lips, you start to regain control of it. The same is with our minds. If you understand why the brain does what it does, why you think what you think, then you're able to have greater control over it. And all of this sounds good on paper, but I'm sure it doesn't really make sense until like you actually see like a real world example of this, right? So I'll give like an example of my life personally where I look at my brain, understands why it does what it does and how it acts and how it's going to act. And by knowing that information of my brain, I can be in greater control of my life. So I have like 2 computers, right? I have 2 computers and I use both to do schoolwork. One of them is loaded with games, right? It's loaded with video games, and it's really tempting to play them whenever I need to be doing homework. But the other computer, it's a really crappy computer, right? It doesn't have a good processor. I can't really play games on it or anything. So on that computer, it's easier to focus on homework. So, right there, what I do, I have a basic understanding of my brain, right? So actually, no, let me back up for a second. Let's say I have homework to do, and I could do the homework on either one of the 2 computers, right? By having an understanding of my brain and understanding that it's a lazy piece of crap, like it is, I can choose to use the crappy computer over the computer with video games on it, right? And I can have greater control over the outcome of what I want. I can choose to get my homework done by understanding that I'm lazy, right? And that's a very basic example of the whole concept. It's been 7 minutes. I don't know if that's over the time. That's a very basic example. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah. Plato, my boy Plato, not Plato, but Plato, like the smart guy in history, he said something like, okay, fine, I'm gonna pull out a note from my pocket. This is really dangerous while driving. I took a note on this. Plato said, in order for man to succeed in life, God provided him with 2 means, education and physical activity, not separately, one for the soul and one for the body, but for the 2 together. So what that means is that you don't have like a body and you can kind of focus on that, and a mind, and that's like a separate thing, and they're just these 2 separate things. But the mind was built for the body, and the body built for the mind. So why is it that we're just that we don't focus on the mind like we do? We use our minds every day. So why don't we like learn how they work so we can have greater control? Awareness precedes control, right? We learn things like math and stuff, which are great life skills, don't get me wrong. And we learn English because we use it every day. But check this, we use our brains more than we use the English language. But we know more about the English language than we do our brains. Right? Again, awareness precedes control. I wonder, remember that quote I just mentioned from Plato, how the mind is built for the body and the body for the minds. I wonder if that's like low-key why we have such mental health struggles today, is because we don't focus on the minds like we do, or like we should. We don't focus on the mind like we should. We focus on the body. You see these bodybuilders everywhere, which is awesome. I promote taking care of your body 100%, and I think bodybuilding is a great sport. You see people taking care of their bodies, they do PE in school, but they don't give near as much attention to the minds. Whenever like the whole point of the body is to house the mind, right? Right? It's like you're spending all this time like building a house, which is the body. You're spending all this time learning like the dimensions of the house and stuff like that, the outside, the outer shell, but you don't focus on the furniture inside. You don't care about the furniture inside. And that's why we Americans, we only care about what's on the outside, right? We only care what's on the outside. We look at people's appearances. We go on social media to post pictures of ourselves. It's all about the outside. I'm not trying to make accusations because I'm guilty of this too. I'm not trying to accuse. I'm rambling at this point. It's been 2 minutes, and I don't know where I am. I've just been driving, just talking. I have no clue where I am right now, and it's raining. That probably concludes my public speaking video. I actually went off my outline a lot, but I think I kind of like brainstormed some pretty neat concepts in the process that I might look into later, such as like the thing with us Americans focusing on the outside with social media and everything. We care too much about people's appearance and not what's on the inside. And I think that relates to mental health. Because the mind, as Plato said, is just as important as the body. Not as two separate things, but as two things that work together. Right? Just as a house, bro. Just as the inside and the outside work together to form a complete house. The outside and inside aren't two separate things. They're both the house. I'm going to stop the video before I start rambling again. But it was good talking about all this. Have a good day. Whoever's watching, maybe just the professor if you're watching, or if I send this to anybody, post it on YouTube. Have a good day. Thank you.